Lord knows I get paid on the daily. Oh man, what a jam, what a jam. I'd like to welcome y'all to the 14th episode of Money Trees. I'm your host, Khufu. Today I'm joined by the inventor of Trapfro and the leader of the Jugganaut Dreamer army, my guy Yung6ix.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Go by the name Yung6ix. Thanks for the intro, Khufu. What's good?
Yo man, thank you for coming and joining me on this beautiful MLK day.
The pleasure is all mine. Pleasure is all mine.
Yeah, where,
Pleasure is all
where where in the
mine.
world are you at right now?
I'm indoors. Just had an overnight session, and I realized I had this Twitter Space thing. So I haven't slept since yesterday. Straight up from the studio to this, literally.
Sheesh.
So yeah,
Hey man, I definitely appreciate you coming out. I remember when I was out in LA, bro, that was one thing I loved about your work ethic. I feel like anytime I hit you, you was at the studio.
man, we gotta be on it, man. It's money trees, bro. It's money trees.
If you don't, what were you working on? Were you with Suji?
No, I was with my boy Uche. He's a producer. So I'm rounding up some records for the Green Light Green 2 mixtape. You know, the EP is ready and set to go. So like we're just preparing what's gonna come after that. That's the Green Light Green 2 mixtape. So I'm just rounding up a couple of records around that.
Hell yeah, Calican is going off right now. Uh, do you have your next single already planned?
Yeah, the next single is gonna be Sugar Bay. But before Sugar Bay, I'm gonna drop a Sorry for the Wait mixtape single. It's called Dreams, and it's myself and one of the dopest rappers out of Nigeria right now. His name is Psycho P, and it's like one of the top rappers in the northern side of northern part of Nigeria. So the mixtape is gonna be hosted by DJ Five Venom. So it's one I think people should look out for the future. So yeah,
Oh hell yeah, I was right there with you and Five for Rolling Loud. You smoked that performance, bro. That was
thanks,
crazy,
man.
man. That was crazy seeing that out there in LA. From Nigeria to the West Coast, man, to the biggest hip hop festival in the world.
It's all good, and thanks to people like you and Jay. All credits to you guys for that one.
Oh man, nah, that's on you, G. I remember the first time we met, you were putting me on to the new sound you were developing, and you called it Trapfro. Could you tell the people about like how Trapfro came about and just what that is?
Trapfro is a fusion of trap music and Afrobeat music. So I grew up in the southern part of Nigeria, where our culture is mostly influenced by what happens like in the western part of the world, which is America. So a lot of the South culture came from like New York and like Atlanta and those kind of places. Those were the places that were really influencing the southern parts of Nigeria. So I grew up listening to like a lot of 50 Cent, a lot of Fajo, a lot of T.I., Lil Wayne, like a lot of like southern and East Coast, artists, and so that became like my first love, hip hop, and growing up in Nigeria, I realized at some point after I became like a mainstream artist, I realized the importance of our culture and what the music industry in Nigeria, was really about. Like the sound, like you can get there with talent, but for you to stay in, it needs to be more than talent. You feel me? So I learned more about, my culture and the Nigerian culture, the musical culture, when I became, Yung6ix. And at some point, I realized I was doing something right that a lot of people weren't doing because I kept being put in this space to be compared to like the pop artist, but I was a rapper. So I realized that I was doing something that needed to have like a blueprint for other people to follow through and become successful of as well. And at the same time, it was also, solving an issue of having like the hip hop identity in Africa. I realized a lot of rappers were not appreciated, because they made rap music, and a lot of Africans didn't see it as something that was part of our culture. So when you're a rapper, they see you as somebody living off a borrowed culture genre of music. So Trapfro was also a way of, breaking that barrier of, a sound that is accepted, as something that's authentic and original and still has to do with the values of Afrobeat and hip hop as a sound. So that's how the Trapfro sound came about. It's a fusion of trap and rap music. But so far, I've been developing it to have its own culture and have its own values. You know, in the space as a genre, hip hop has its own culture. Obviously, Afrobeat has its own culture too, but most of the Afrobeat culture is still from hip hop, right? And there's so many different things and perceptions that's led these genres to be misinterpreted interpreted by people, and 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 they just follow like a certain stereotypical way of life, like, oh, you get rich, you buy fancy cars, you buy chains. Like, it literally teaches people not to have values for real things, but have people now starting to have more values for like clouds and like things that are just look flashy and really don't have any substantial value at the back end. So that's one thing I'm doing with the Trapfro culture. I want it to be an like when it gets to that place that I want it to be, I want people to see the Trapfro stars as people that have things of value that make sense, not just chains and cars and all these things that are really liabilities. You know what I mean? So that's another aspect of it, but I don't want to go into that too much. I know that's not what the conversation is about, so I'm just gonna stop there. That's just a little bit about Trapfro.
Nah, nah, that's perfect, G. The conversation is gonna go wherever it's gonna go, so you don't gotta worry about reining it in too much. But I will say, for all the reasons that you just stated, like, you clearly see yourself as a pioneer in the space, both sonically and culturally. It makes a lot of sense that Web3 ended up on your radar. So we've been talking a lot about your project, offline, but I'm not even sure how you got exposed to Web3 in NFTs for the first time. Do you remember what that first experience was?
Um, um, I may not be able to like pinpoint, but as far as Web3 goes, um, my first experience with Web3 was definitely crypto. That was my first, entry into like the blockchain space and all that. And I think that was like around 2015, 2016. But NFTs, I could definitely say I started learning about NFTs in 2020, December 22nd, 2020, because that was the first day I joined Clubhouse. And one of the first rooms I went into, they had a conversation about NFTs. And, you know, um, I made some friends there. I was growing with the space and growing with the people there. Then the board ape wave came. Saw a lot of people make money from it and all that. At that point in time, I was actually ready to even dive in, but I thank God that I didn't, because I was just gonna probably fail us at that point in time. But yeah, now with all the knowledge I have and knowing like how much work you need to put in to have even a successful drop, I think that was a good decision. So I would say December 22nd, 2020. That was the exact date I learned about NFTs, and I heard the word NFT for the first time.
Oh yeah, that's an exact pinpoint. That's ill that that moment stood out to you in the way that you can remember it. Not all this time later, but a year later. And the space has changed so much from December 2020 until now. You mentioned the Board 8 project. We've seen countless other NFT projects. The music NFT space still really has yet to get going, though. And that's interesting to me for a ton of reasons. One of the big ones is everyone's really hype on the idea of Web3 and decentralization, and that putting a lot of the power back into the artist's hands and kind of leveling these power dynamics that have existed in the quote unquote traditional music industry as opposed to this new space. What excites you most about bringing music into the NFT space?
To be honest, it's the fact that it creates a two-way. It creates like a two-way street, for both the collector and the creator, where both people can benefit. I think that's the most exciting, part about the Web3 space, and also transparency too, as well. I feel like those were things that the music industry space was missing, and also with platforms like Mirror and all these other um, platforms that create like a funding for like a kind of like a space for
The crowd
artists to
fund.
create, yeah, for like artists to create DAO projects. I feel like that's a huge step too, and a huge addition, to the music industry, especially for independent artists. So those would be like the most exciting areas for me. The two-way street where the fan could benefit and the artist could benefit at the same time. That's a no-brainer. And also the fact that now independent artists that are true talents could, find ways to level up, without having all the funds that they will need from a label or a distribution company giving them advances and all that to own, the most part of their creative content.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think one of the big issues, at least personally, is like music and art are consumed differently. So a lot of the platforms, let me not say that. Let me not make generalizations, but most of the platforms that I'm coming across don't really focus on the discovery side of it. They create ways for you to monetize. Mirror is super dope with the crowdfundability, with writing out your articles and being able to present almost this version of artist roadmaps. I think that that's really, really cool. But as everyone sees, Mirror doesn't have a featured page. And so, in getting away from the centralization of Web 2, we lose some of that curation and some of that discovery. It's going to be very interesting to see how that develops and how that changes with as these new platforms start gaining um, what we want to call it, like gaining more attention as more users come in. I'm really excited for the Coinbase NFT project to come out because they have more people on their wait list apparently than individual MetaMask owners that have NFTs, which I think is nuts. Where you're gonna have a platform that's gonna come in and be able to more than double the amount of users or people that are interacting in the space. So things like that are really exciting. Things like what's happening with Nas and Royal is really exciting and showing artists very, very simple ways to get into it where people still get confused with trying to set up a MetaMask, trying to do things on the Ethereum blockchain. So to have something where hey, you can still use a credit card and it's like dipping your feet into the water, that makes me pretty optimistic on the future of music in this space. One thing I want to ask you about, because I know you're cooking up your own project right now, and we don't have to get too much into the technicals, more just what blockchains you personally are rocking with. Because we know ETH is the main one, but the transaction fees are kind of nuts. And I'm not sure if that's the best current platform for music. So have you been exploring any of the other blockchains?
Yes, I have, and to be honest, even for my project, we haven't um, we haven't really like fixed like a platform that we're going to be putting it out on, or a blockchain um, that we're going to be going with. Right now, we're looking at Solana, and we're also looking at Polygon. And one of the reasons why is, like you said, the gas fees on Ethereum, even though it's like the most secured in terms of like what it runs on and the value it gets and the predictions for where it's going. The gas fees on it is crazy, and for people in third world countries, for us in America, it may not mean much. You paying 90 something bucks for something that's worth $50, might make sense to you when you think about the fact that you might be able to sell the same thing for like 300 or 400 or 1,000 or even 2,000 at the back end. But somebody in a third world country where a dollar is like 1,000 in their currency, it may not make sense to them. So that's a challenge that we're all still in this space growing to figure out how to solve. So for now, we've just been looking at Polygon and Solana, but we haven't made a decision yet what platforms we're going to be dropping our NFTs on. But yeah, I co-sign the issue that's happening right now based on that.
For sure. You keep, and feel free to say no here because I didn't ask you about this before the show, but I don't know how much you've been sharing in the clubhouse rooms in regards to your upcoming project. But maybe instead of talking about specifics, we can talk about the way that you're approaching it because I think it's a incredible project. I think it's a really, really dope idea. The music is fire, the art is amazing, but my favorite part of it is definitely your story and why you're approaching your project this way. The way that you want to give back to the community and what it is you're trying to establish long term in the NFT space. So I know that was kind of a all over the place question, but feel free to jump in with what you're currently working on in the space, whether it be the specifics or just your, philosophy in it.
Okay, I'm just gonna touch on a few I'm just gonna touch on a few spots and just highlight, like give like a low summary. So it's the project is called Love and Pandemic, and that's the title of my new album, stroke EP. And the whole idea of the EP is to show is to basically like depict and evolve, Yung6ix, who has grown from a hustler into a lover boy. So there's going to be a transition there with the music. That's really dope. I think it's probably some of the best like love songs I've made in my whole career. Honestly, on this project. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to match the quality I was bringing on the project as NFTs, like in the collection, with the music and the sound. So for the project is gonna be we're gonna be releasing 2,111 unique NFTs from the Love and Pandemic project, and we're planning to use almost 80% of the revenues from this project to create the experience for the fans. So far, from what we have right now, this might change. So far, what we have right now, we're going to be giving scholarship to people that need the scholarship, and I would like these people to come from like a third world country, because I feel like they need those opportunities the most. So we're going to be using 10% of our revenues to give this kids scholarship to learn a Web3 skill that could serve as an alternative source of income to them in the Web3 space, thereby onboarding them into the Web3 space. We're also going to be giving out Oculus Quest 2 consoles to some of our collectors just to draw them closer to the Web3 space and the Web3 and the experiences that come with virtual reality, and just basically introduce them to the metaverse. We're also going to be giving out some PlayStation consoles with VR, because it's not just about the game anymore. It's also about educating them even through gaming via the metaverse. So, aside from that, we're going to be giving out a brand new Tesla as well. And these things are not just giveaways for giveaways sake. These things are actually assets, to draw people to seeing and understanding what is going on in the Web3 space, to expose them to the opportunities in the Web3 space, to expose them to the knowledge, and the life in the Web3 space and the metaverse and virtual reality, and all that, as well as, rewarding them for being a listener and a collector of our project, which is the Love and Pandemic project. I know I'm a bit all over the place with some of the things I'm saying.
No, you're good, G. Keep so I'll jump in a little bit and then you can pick back up.
Okay.
You hit on the fact that you're starting to associate, real world assets with NFTs. I don't think that there's any set formula that's going to work to onboard everyone into the space. I do know that people need to get onboarded onto this, where regardless of what blockchain you think is going to work or whether or not you believe people selling animal JPEGs is a scam, it doesn't really matter because this technology is going to be here to stay. And the more people that we equip with the tools to understand this technology, the more people that we get interested in what's going on, the more ways that they're seeing this technology presented to them, it's going to help connect it. Right now, there's a certain group of people telling a story their way, and that's cool. It's helping onboard, we got here and hundreds of thousands of other people got here, but there's millions, really billions of people that we're going to need to tell different stories to. So you giving away, well, not because it's not giving away, it's reinvesting 80% of the profits that you generate right back into your community is going to show people the way that this new tech is working. And I think that that's really sick. You planted, or you're planting a very dope tree right here, right now. I can't wait to see all of these things materialize because people will be able to see in real time how thoughtful you were going into it and how that thought was able to kind of blossom into what this Love and Pandemic project will become. This is a very, very unique and layered project. When you sent me the breakdown to it, there was so much to it. I could tell you it put so much thought into it, even down to the pricing of your project and not wanting people to be excluded from it because it's a thing of, hey, if you don't, like you said, you don't want to spend $90 on a transaction fee for something that costs $50. I use the free shipping example all the time. I don't know if I've ever bought anything where the shipping was more expensive than the actual item. That's going to be a huge deterrent just psychologically for people, even if it isn't, even getting past the financial barrier that's going to be. So I love that you're looking into Solana for the project. Love that you're looking into Polygon. We were talking about Create potentially as another different marketplace. And all of these different chains have even less education about them, where it's already hard learning how to get set up on ETH. Now you have to try to learn what Solana is or Tezos is, or wait, what's a layer two? Then you have to understand what's actually going on with Ethereum so Polygon even makes sense to you. And all of that becomes daunting. It becomes very, very hard for people to wrap their mind around unless they have real life examples for them to connect to. So I love the way you're incorporating assets like the Oculus, like the Tesla, because giveaways in the traditional sense, it brings attention and you're combining education with that attention. It's not just like, oh, here, hey, you're going to get this Tesla, just come over here real quick. It's like, no, look at the community that we're building. Look how we're helping educate people. Look at the resources that we're providing. Oh, thank you for increasing our ability to spread. You know what I mean? Them buying an NFT that is sales for you, it puts money back into the treasury that you're using to reinvest back into these people. And they'll start understanding how these types of concepts haven't been feasible prior to NFTs, prior to blockchain. So I went off on a little bit there, but please pick up. I just wanted to add that in. I love this project and what it stands for, really.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Khufu. And I was gonna add on to say it's not just it's like we said, like it's this project. One of the reasons why we're investing so much into our communities because we have three other projects that are coming out after this project. So this project is more like me building like a reputation for the Jugganaut Dreamer Army brand in the Web3 space, me building a reputation for Yung6ix in the Web3 space, and also every other person that's associated with this project too will be building their own reputation in the Web3 space, So the partners and every other person, every other creative that has equity in the project, will also have that reputation. So let's say, for example, um, you have the guy from Body right now as the guy that manages Body Discord, managing your Discord. That's giving your project credibility already. You feel me? Because it's already part of something that people trust to succeed and that has succeeded already. So there's like a proof of success, almost like a proof of concept, there that this person knows what he's doing and this person sticks to his words and they've done this project before and this is what it is and this is how it came about. So it was important to me that I established this because I'm not just thinking about today or tomorrow. I'm thinking what's going to happen, who's going to be the Mark Zuckerberg of the Web3 space, who's going to be the Dangote of the Web3 space, who's going to be the Jay-Z of the Web3 space, who's going to be the Kanye West of the Web3 space. It's not going to happen today, but there's going to be somebody in 5 years, there's going to be somebody in 10 years. You feel me? So, and when that time comes, it's going to be all about, longevity, consistency, and, reputation, which means you have to be accountable for every single thing you do in this space and, have a good and clean record. Maybe not a perfect record, but at least a good and clean record, that could speak highly, of you, in the Web3 space. So that was another thing that was important to me, and also rewarding the collectors of the NFTs. I didn't mention a lot of things that are part of the utilities, but so far we have 11 utilities right now for our NFT that's going to cost just $50, and we're still trying to add more. I recently just had a conversation with SoundForge, and the conversations are going deep right now. We're already in the next level phase, and SoundForge is the first esports competitive gaming game. Right now, they released their NFTs in November. Their first NFTs in November. It was sold out, and they released a better version of their game, which they promised to do. And those are the kind of people that I'm working with too and affiliating myself with in the Web3 space, brands that are accountable, So far, we already had a conversation where they're going to incorporate 5 of our NFT characters into their game, and owners of our NFT are going to be able to unpack those characters when they buy our NFTs, they're going to be able to redeem those characters in the game through a code that will be airdropped to owners of our NFTs. So we're just doing our best to make sure that people have value for what it is that they actually pay for. Regardless of what it is that happens in the digital space, we also want those values to translate into like real life, because at the end of the day, even though it's all these things we're doing is for the Web3 space, it's us in real life. We're actually, those utilities are only going to be worth something to us if we can use them in real life, and that's the truth. So that was something that we were also focused on making sure that we get right with the project.
Yo, man, you dropped so many gems in that. So much stuff that I could not have said better myself at points. One thing I want to add on to and just kind of re-highlight that you hit on is your record doesn't need to be perfect, but your record is immutable in this space. The transactions that you make on the blockchain, the projects that you do and don't support, and the way that you move is going to be stored in a more permanent way than we're used to. This space should be encouraging people to be better humans as your intentions will reflect for years to come. Another piece
Facts.
that, oh yeah, yeah, facts. uh, you talked about the Juggernaut Dreamer Army, and I'm one that thinks the word community is thrown around a bit too often, where people are saying it without actually wanting to truly build one, without having ideals to stand on, and wanting to put the time and effort into developing that community. You are not one of those people. You are someone that understands what it means to truly put in that effort, to truly have a community that stands for something, that believes in something, that's meant to represent its beliefs. And that to me is the Juggernaut Dreamers. So if you could just tell us, your quick summary on what the or who the Juggernaut Dreamers are.
Okay. Jugganaut Dreamers, short form JD, is what I call my fans. And if you check, that's the only diamond chain I have right now. It has a JD on it, and basically a Juggernaut is any unstoppable being, character, or subject. So Jugganaut Dreamer simply means an unstoppable dreamer. And I see myself as an unstoppable dreamer because of the odds I went against, to get to where I'm at in life. And I know that that journey is not done yet. I still face challenges every day. But as long as I keep that JD mentality where I know I'm unstoppable and these challenges can't stop me, I'm very sure I can overcome them. So I translated this into an acronym, and I started using it on myself, and eventually I figured this is what I'm gonna call my community. This is what I'm gonna call my fans. This is what I'm gonna identify. This is how I'm gonna identify with people that have similar beliefs with me. We're all JDs. We're all Jugganaut Dreamers. We're all unstoppable. We've all been in a situation where something could have stopped us from even being in this conversation today. So for this to be happening right now, it means you're a JD. So everyone has a JD in them, and that's how the acronym and the lifestyle and the JD Jugganaut Dreamer Army brand started. It started from my fans. So I call my fans JDs. So that's how Jugganaut Dreamer Army started and came about. So, and now for our DAO project that's going to be coming after the music project, we're gonna have an animation series about Jugganaut Dreamers that's gonna focus on African and Black heroes that were never spoken about our culture. But that's a conversation for another day. I'm just gonna stop here for now, just to touch on what the Jugganaut Dreamer Army is and means.
Six. Oh man, I need my sound effects, bruh. I would have been letting them off during there. The JD's an unstoppable force, man. I love it. Yo, G, I wanna thank you for coming straight from the studio and jumping on with me. I know how those sessions get, and this has been a really, really fire conversation. You planted some amazing, you planted some amazing money trees today, and I know we'll look back at this conversation and see how they've grown. And yeah, I have two questions before I let you go, though.
I know
Here
what
on
is hit.
here on the show, I like to ask people what their seed phrase is. I always say the current, in Web3 slang, your seed phrase is your recovery key, and seed phrase isn't scary enough. If you lose your seed phrase, you lose access to all of your NFTs and all of your crypto. So I think that we need to repurpose the seed phrase and make that more the motto of your rainforest, the quote or saying that you live by. So if you had a seed phrase that would help summarize all the money trees you planted today, what would that seed phrase be?
It will be your challenges are only as big as your dreams. I think that's one that I live by. So anytime I run into a challenge, I know it's only there because I'm trying to break through, into something else. And I'm just gonna break it down in the simplest form for people to understand what I'm saying. For those who don't grasp it yet, so basically, if you decided to be homeless today, you wouldn't have to worry about rent. So you're only worried about rent because you want to live better. So basically, that's how I see all my challenges. Anytime I run into something that I can't do, I realize it's because I want more for myself. That's why it's there. So that's why my seed phrase is your challenges are only as big as your dreams.
Whoo, I love that one, man. Wow, that's my man Six coming in and dropping the profound seed phrase. That's one of my favorites so far.
Yeah, thanks, my man. Thanks, Khufu. It's a pleasure to join you here. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to share,
oh,
some
of
insight.
of course, G. Of course, we always have dope conversations when we talk. I'm really excited to see Love and Pandemic come to fruition. The last question I have for you is what is the reserve price going to be for the one of one Yung6ix Money Trees note that will go up for sale after this episode?
Wow. Shit, that's a big question for Jugganaut Dreamer. We're gonna start with the M's for that one. It's gotta be a million, bro. It's gotta be a million.
Yo, y'all are gonna make me have to make Money Trees the biggest talk show on the planet, but I am up for the challenge because I too am a JD dreamer, and my challenges are only as big as my dreams. I
All
love
right.
it, Six. I love it, man. Yo, you
All
get
right.
some rest. Thank you for coming on and talking with us. I'm looking forward to this project and further helping you nourish and take care of these trees you planted today, man.
Man, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it, man. Shout to everyone who's on, who came in to listen on the Twitter space. I see the president of the JDs here one day. I see the Sally. I see a lot of JDs in the room right now. Shout out to you guys. Big love.
Love. I thank everyone for coming through. Thank you, Six. This has been fire. Go stream Cali Can. Look out for Sugar Bay. I can't front. I heard that when we were in LA. And Rolling Loud, this project is insane, but that song in particular is fuego.
Thanks, bro. Thanks, bro.
All right, everyone. I'm gonna catch y'all tomorrow. Same time, same place. Actually, not the same time, but it's 5 p.m. tomorrow. We got a little switch up. Anyway, I'm out of here. Later, Six.